Do you know what the real danger of stepping in quicksand is? It isn't sinking and getting covered. That's not going to happen because humans are only about half as dense as quicksand. However, your life could still be in danger. If you aren't able to get free, the elements and the tides are your real concern. Self-pity has similar dangers in that it can trap us and expose us to greater harm. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get out of the trap of self-pity and keep moving forward. By being hard on ourselves or too full of self-pity, we often make our own emotional injuries worse than they have to be. I'm going to tell you how to approach our troubles in a way that acknowledges them but doesn't fuel them. Have you had a deep injury in your life? The kind that's a game changer and changes your life forever? I know that kind of pain. Let me tell you about one huge loss in my life. I think everybody loves their mom a lot, or most people do, but my mom was my whole family. She's who I grew up with, just the two of us. And one day we were talking and we discussed how there was nobody in our family with cancer or diabetes or heart disease, and we were so happy for such a clean family history. But 2 months later, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, an estrogen receptor negative breast cancer. So the best drug around wasn't going to be useful to her. It was agonizing to see her go through the next couple years, and she finally died in my home. I was never the same after that because she was my whole family of origin. You know, some deep injuries are from childhood, or we may not even be able to pinpoint when an injury occurred, yet we know that we carry it. Other injuries and sorrows are from events in our more recent lives. But regardless of when the injuries occurred, living with wounds is challenging. When the wounds are from those we thought we could rely upon, the pain is multiplied. We've all inflicted pain and been the recipient of injury, so resisting judgment is a great idea. How do we distinguish between a lasting but normal pain and a pain that is fueled by self-pity? I want to help you discern this because if we're practicing self-pity, then some of our pain is avoidable, and who doesn't want that? On the other hand, practicing self-compassion will ease our pain. Either way, we should remember that enduring pain and hardship can have value. Endurance brings with it character. If that endurance is done with grace, it's inspirational. We don't always have to be out of pain to be well. True wellness isn't determined by our circumstances. If you talk to somebody else about your pain, don't you just love it when they say things like, let it go, or it's his loss, or it's her loss, or move on? Although these comments are probably from people who mean well, they can add fuel to the fire and leave a person feeling like they have an additional problem if they can't just magically take that attitude. Those comments also perpetuate a sense of isolation for the person who is suffering. Instead, tell someone that you understand or that you're trying to understand. Ask them to clarify for you and tell them that you want to listen. Sometimes we try to deny someone else's pain because it makes us feel uncomfortable. Or sometimes we aren't very sensitive because their experience hasn't been our own. Or we think we know how we would respond in the same situation if it happened to us. An event in a person's life happens to an individual with a unique history, so their responses are unique. When I lost my mom, I really didn't like it when someone said to me, "I know just how you feel." Really? I thought. You knew how you felt or how you think you would feel, but not how I feel. Could you please at least just give me that? We mean well, but when we make assumptions and say cliche things to people, it doesn't help. Judgment can be hard to resist about how someone's doing, but do we want to be the recipient of it? No, we don't. We want to walk powerfully in life, so it's important for us to take a look at how we deal with pain, especially our own. Here's the definition: self pity. Sympathy and sorrow for oneself that exaggerates the extent of personal suffering. It's self indulgent. It says, "Life is hard for me and I'm alone." We can use self pity as an excuse to act out and behave inappropriately. Our feelings are all about us, very egocentric, and they lack perspective. We secretly believe that we probably deserve the situation we're in and are unworthy of better. The sadness and anger can even give us a false sense of empowerment. It's false because we aren't really taking in the whole picture or fostering strength in ourselves. It is, however, dramatic, and we all know that can be fun, short term. In a society that rewards being fine, we feel all the more isolated. Self pity shows up in our lives, in our behavior, and in our relationships. It's not healthy. A different approach to our problem is self compassion. Extending compassion to ourselves in instances of perceived inadequacy, failure, or general pain and suffering, rather than ignoring them or hurting ourselves with self criticism. Self compassion says, "Life is hard for everyone, including me. Pain is supposed to be painful, and I'm okay." The opposite of ignoring is acknowledging, admitting the existence of the truth. The truth doesn't lie about the whys of things, it just is. Checking in with ourselves about where we hurt is good. If we're angry and grouchy a lot, that could be a defense mechanism against unacknowledged pain. You won't love this thought, but stay with me because there's more after it. Here it is. Our challenges are sizable because, on top of our difficult circumstances, which hopefully we want to milk for anything we can gain from them, we can't grow without allowing change in ourselves. Change isn't a breeze either because every change involves some type of loss. Every change. Think about that. And then when we lose something or someone, we will experience pain and or grief. Yikes! But don't give up because here comes an encouraging example. When my mother died, this was a tremendous and threatening loss because she was who I grew up with. Just the two of us lived alone together. My home of origin was gone forever. Besides that, I lost how my mother was always there for me. Any win of mine was a win of hers. I had no father, so I was out of parents. I did not have any living grandparents or aunts or uncles. Life was changed forever. My children would never know the love and the spice of my mom. Self pity yells, "Why do some of my classmates still show pictures on Facebook of themselves with their dads and moms? I don't even have an old picture with a dad. It's only me without parents. I'm tired of this. Life is so unfair to me. My life has been ruined by the absence of parents. It has been mean to me and left me without the support of parents that I desperately needed so many times." I might want to shout this from a rooftop, but I won't, because it's exaggerated and lacks the whole story. Thoughts like these are dangerous mental turf like quicksand. They could sink me. Rehearsing this thought throughout my life could keep me stuck emotionally, possibly for a lifetime. Check the way you think about your difficulties for accuracy. One client of mine was really bothered because somebody he played sports with just seemed to have it all. So we looked at his feelings and we kind of broke down to the thoughts that he was having with those feelings. We got to this one main thought, and I said, "So, how much do you really believe this statement?" And he laughed and he said, "I don't believe it at all." And I laughed and we laughed, and the lie was gone. Ask yourself if what you're thinking is even something you believe 100%. If we rehearse ideas we know aren't accurate or leave out the rest of the story, then we are effectively pouring gasoline on the fire of injury, and we keep the flame hot. The only thing I have to say about that is, ouch! In my case, the rest of the truth was that I was lucky to have a fine woman for a mother. She modeled so many great things, and I still have those lessons tucked in my heart. They've always been with me, and they always will be. My mom, Rita, worked until she was too sick to work. Then she finally got to be cared for by me and my family, and it was a privilege. When we lost her, I painfully grew in compassion. I realized once again the fragility of life. I had already lost a number of friends in my life. My deep pain at that age helped me to know how to more effectively comfort others throughout my life. Everything about that experience with her wasn't bad. We had time for closure, and that time was peaceful and very loving. Not everyone gets that with a parent, and in that way, I was extremely lucky. Self-compassion says, "Lisa, you had a huge loss that no person actually understands except you. No one should lose their parent so young, but I bet she's still loving you and isn't far away. You are precious, and you can trust me to always be kind to you. Your loss will always have a painful aspect, but carrying that pain is no longer a burden because you have accepted it and have it in perspective and do good things with that experience. Pain carried with dignity is admirable." Support yourself with similar thoughts about your losses. If you do, you will feel better and not worse. You'll be out of the quicksand and free to progress. Compassionate thoughts are like a calm waterfall over the embers of your pain. These thoughts are, for sure, you deserve this acknowledgement and self-care. See you soon.